Hey guys, are you wanting to start shiny hunting? Because I've got the 5 best methods for beginner shiny hunters. Let's get into it. Hey guys, it's Dude here, and I just wanted to thank everyone so much for the subscriptions and likes and comments on the last video. It really helps out the channel and helps me. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. But today is going to be for the beginners. Any beginning shiny hunters, anyone who's interested or wants to start learning how to shiny hunt, I've got the 5 best methods for beginner shiny hunters, and we're going to go ahead and talk about those today. Number 1, you guys, we have chain fishing. Chain fishing was introduced in Pokemon X and Y, or Generation 6, and has not been implemented since. So it's only in Generation 6, it's not in Generation 7 or Generation 8, so you can only do this there. Those games were on the 3DS, and there were a couple of rules that you need to understand to make sure that you do it correctly. This is kind of like the hardest part, but it's really simple, but once you get the hang of it, piece of cake. You can have a shiny in no time. So your odds for the chain fishing is going to be 1 out of 100. But first, you're going to have to build a chain of 20 or higher Pokemon biting, and you reel them in and you have a battle with them. So once this happens, you can either knock them out or you can run away from them. I find running away is the easiest, it's just super quick. So you cast your rod and you pull in 20 Pokemon 20 times. Now, you can't move positions. That will break your chain. You can't access any key items, don't do your bike or anything like that, or enter any Wi-Fi battles or whatever. Don't do any of that stuff. That will break your chain. Also will break your chain is if you reel in too fast or too slow. And if a Pokemon doesn't bite at all. So to help with the Pokemon not biting at all, make sure you're near a ledge. That will really help. Or make sure you have a Pokemon that has sticky hold or has suction cups. And I'll put some Pokemon right here that have that ability, and make sure they're in the front of your party, because that's going to actually, both those things, being close to an edge and a Pokemon with those abilities, will increase your chances of having a Pokemon actually bite onto your fishing pole. And it doesn't matter which one you have. You could have the old rod, the good rod, or the super rod. All of those will work with this method. But that's going to do it for number 1, you guys. And good luck with those 1 in 100 shinies. All right, number 2, not leaving Kalos region, we have the Friend Safari. This does take a little bit of setup. You do have to beat the game, beat the Elite Four to be able to unlock the Friend Safari and to be able to travel to the town that it is in. But once you do that, the odds are pretty good. It feels like random encounters, even though the odds are not random encounters. So that's pretty great, right? The other kind of setup that you have to do is you need a friend or a second 3DS to be able to exchange friend codes, which is kind of awkward. You have to go outside the actual game, and you have to do it just in your normal 3DS settings and that sort of thing. And you both have to accept each other as friends if you're doing it with your friend or on your DS. So make sure that you do that in order to get it. But once you have that all set up, you do have the odds of 1 out of 819, and that's rough. I think there's a 0.2 in there or something like that, but that's just your standard odds with no charm. It is stackable according to Bulbapedia. So if you do have the shiny charm, it actually turns into 1 out of 585, which isn't bad. You're almost getting, some typical Masuda odds. So yeah, that's pretty good. So I've gotten a couple shinies in there, and that's been fantastic. You also get a chance of hidden abilities, so that's really great. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for number 2. Number 3, guys, is gonna be the Masuda method. Now, the best thing about the Masuda method is you don't need to have a Generation 6 game to do it, but you can do it in Generation 6 and above is what I recommend, because actually the Masuda odds, anything before that, are actually worse than from Gen 6 up. So first I'll kind of describe how the Masuda method works, and then I'll describe why you don't want to do it in the previous generations. So the Masuda method is when you have 2 different language Pokemon and you breed them together in the daycare. That will give you shiny odds of 1 in 683 with no charm. With charm, you got 1 out of 512. Now these odds are really great and look very promising. I know some people, this isn't their favorite method, but it is actually a really good method and one I recommend for those of you who are new. Now, if you wanted to try Masuda method in previous generations. The Masuda method started in generation 4. With that, you're going to have 1 out of 1,638. And then in generation 5, it got a little bit better with 1 out of 1,365. So not super great, but it's still better. I would just recommend sticking with generation 6 or above, just because 1, you have better odds, and 2, it's going to be a little bit harder to find a different language Pokemon to breed with. So I usually recommend a different language Ditto if you can get your hands on one, because it can breed with anything, but it doesn't have to be. And it doesn't specifically have to be like a Japanese Ditto, even though that's pretty common to use out there. It really just can be any 2 different languages. They just don't have to be the same. But that's the Masuda method, you guys. Coming in at number 4, we have BDSP Underground. So this one is going to be probably the worst out of all of them, and the one that I suggest the least out of all of them, but I still found this one to be pretty good. And I feel like this is a game that most people will probably have as well. So in the Underground, if you don't know, there's some Digletts that happen, and then a special event basically occurs where there's a particular time limit. I'm not sure. I think it's between 1 and 2 minutes or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but basically once you collect so many Digletts, that bar goes up, and then there is an extra roll added to the shiny odds. So that's going to be a 1 out of 2,084 chance, which isn't like amazing compared to all these other things on the list, but isn't like terrible. So, and it's really fun because you can do it with your friends, which in my opinion, that's what probably makes it easier. Is doing shiny hunting with someone helps it go by a lot faster and can be a lot more fun. So that's my suggestion for number 4 in the BDSP Underground. And finally, guys, we have number 5, which is going to be in Pokemon Legends Arceus, the Mass Outbreak method. So the Mass Outbreak method is an in-game kind of event that happens when you travel to and from Jubilife City. There is a chance that a mass outbreak will appear. These mass outbreaks are similar to kind of like swarms in previous generations, but there's just gonna be a lot of that particular Pokemon in one area. It's not going to be the question mark ones. It's going to be one with a particular image of a certain Pokemon on there. So all you do is you'll go and you'll check out the mass outbreak, and you'll see if any of them are shiny, and then you'll either catch or defeat them and see if one spawns. And your shiny odds there are really good, actually. It's 1 out of 158.2. That's with no charm, no research dex, so pretty close to like chain fishing odds. Not quite there, but really, really close. And a method that's I would recommend for anyone who's beginning shiny hunting. These are a little bit easier to fail, which is why I guess I put it towards the end a little bit more. So there is that factor. Some Pokemon can run away. Some Pokemon will attack you and you will faint, and then you possibly could lose the mass outbreak. I'm not quite sure. I haven't had that happen to me. But anyway, so that's going to do it for us for this video, you guys. Really appreciate you sticking out to the end and watching the whole video. And like and share and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Also, you can help out some of your friends who may be getting into shiny hunting, or someone else who may have just reached out to you and asked you some questions. But these are some great methods. Very easy, pretty simple to follow along, especially when you're starting out. And yeah, really excited that I was able to share this with you guys. And we'll see you on the next one.